Hi! I'm back again. I'm just going on a recording spree right now because I finally got the guts to do this. So, yeah, back to the abuse. So after 2 years of being abused, mentally and emotionally, there's just so many signs that that arise that people should be watching out for. I did a lot of writing, as I had previously mentioned, and it's really difficult to talk about this because there's a lot of things that I'm struggling with right now, the after effects of what can happen if you don't catch it in time. And mental and emotional abuse is one of those things where it's very difficult to spot it sometimes. Sometimes it's already happening and it's so subtle that you don't catch it until it's severe. And that's kind of what happened to me. It's difficult. See this? So I have a couple problems now. I'll talk about the after effects. How about that? What happens when you don't catch it in time? So I've developed something over time. As you guys all know, I published a story before on my Facebook about the physical abuse that I had endured from my ex-fiance, who beat me senseless quite a few times. And after that, I developed something called post-traumatic stress disorder, which is pretty normal for anybody who's ever, been beaten or raped. It can happen from being in a natural disaster or a car accident, or it can happen from a variety of different things. A lot of war veterans get it. It's pretty common. So I like to look at post-traumatic stress disorder as conditioning. People can be conditioned lots of different ways, and it has a lot of side effects. Anything from, I get night terrors a lot, where I wake up in a pool of my own sweat. I can get paralyzed and half wake up, but half dreaming at the same time, and kind of get stuck in this weird dream mode where it's just, terror and anxiety, and, but you can't move, and it's very frustrating. I deal with a lot of anxiety on a day-to-day basis, which I had panic disorder while I was being abused for that 2 years. I, developed social anxiety because of the panic disorder, having panic attacks constantly. The friction of the relationship was obviously causing my brain to, collapse in on itself. Feeling the lack of sense of self, when somebody tries to replace your senses of self with, they're like you're almost an attachment of who they are. You're not even your own full self, right? So that's just a mind F all on its own. I'm also now struggling with something called depersonalization disorder and disassociation. So along with the mental and emotional abuse that I had endured during this relationship, it was also very congruent with sexual abuse as well. And now the reason for that being, I know a lot of people would be like, well, kind of confused by that because you're in a relationship and a lot of what was happening was consensual sex, yes. But the sexual abuse that was happening is when you deconstruct somebody's senses of self and you use sex as reward or punishment, it creates a form of sexual traumatic bonding, which is definitely something that had happened in my relationship. So I'm not even going to call it a relationship because it doesn't even quantify as a relationship. I'm going to call it my abuse because that's exactly what it was. So sex was used as a reward system. It was given and taken away, as well as emotions. I was rewarded with my good behavior whenever I did what this person wanted me to do and whenever it aligned with what they wanted. And then the second that I was doing something on my own free will that had nothing to do with them or what they wanted or that they were opposed to, I was emotionally punished in a variety of ways. I was made fun of constantly, and I used to always say to this person, if you make fun of me more than you say nice things about me, then what kind of message is that sending me? What does that do to my self-esteem? I was made fun of. I was told how I could dress and what I should be wearing. I was told that I was less of a woman, essentially, for the clothes that I chose to wear. I was also 23, so you know, I was obviously growing, but not quite there yet as a fully mature woman. So doesn't help that there was a huge age difference between me and said person. So this person was exceptionally passive aggressive. That was another huge part of it. And people who are passive aggressive, that's a whole other level of abuse on its own. You know, it was sugar-coated hostility, basically. You know, constant half-truths, you know, always having to play detective in your own life because you know the person's saying something, but you're only getting half of what they're saying. There's a constant bout of manipulation, and you can feel it. It's very subtle, but you can feel it's always there. You know that you're not being authentically talked to with honesty and full emotion, the way that, you know, maybe some of your friends talk to you, you know, like. So yeah, I was also told that I had to earn this person's trust. That trust is not just given. Now that's another really big red flag because that's not reality. Trust is respect. So when you're in a relationship with somebody, if you don't respect this person, then you should not be in a relationship with them. And they do not need to earn your trust because you don't respect them. If you don't respect them, then go find somebody that you do, and don't waste your own time and don't waste this person's time. Otherwise, it does turn into an abusive situation. So I was told that I had to earn this person's, you know, trust, essentially, and that, well, I wrote it down right here. I made little notes. So-and-so feels that this needs to be earned. It is difficult to achieve this during the healing process, and it feels constricting. So while I was out there, I was attempting to heal. So it didn't sit right with me, and I knew it. So I wrote down, you know, a list of things that I wanted from my partner, right here. This little spot right here. And it's funny because I wrote this down, and then I did my best to have this person engage in, you know, healing tools like this, and communication tools like this, and so never actually filled it out, or entered into things like this with me. So that's another huge red flag right there. If this person doesn't want to do personal growth and development with you, that is a huge red flag, because you should always want to do that. So I wrote, you should have a retractable, secure attachment with whoever you're with. And that just basically means that you should be able to, when you leave the house and then you come back home, you shouldn't have fear and anxiety around coming back to this person. And if any of you out there feel fear or anxiety about coming back to your partner when you've done nothing wrong, I mean, don't get me wrong. If you go out and you make out with somebody and you have fear and anxiety about going back home to, you know, this person, duh, you should fucking have fear and anxiety. Excuse my French. I'm really bad for that. They say people who swear are healthier, just saying. But if you've done nothing wrong and you're feeling fear and anxiety, then you're being abused. You shouldn't feel like that. So a lot of the reasons that I would get fear and anxiety, I would feel great when I left the house because it was like, finally I can breathe and be in my own presence, you know, but then I would feel terrified to come back to this person, and it would build and build and build. And then by the time that I would be coming back into this person's, you know, presence, I would be, you know, super close to like having a panic attack because, you know, I dreaded it, and that's not normal. So, yeah, I would have to fight this person a lot of the time as well just to be able to leave their presence, which is really messed up, because you should be able to have that retractable bit where you're like, hey honey, okay, I gotta go, you know, I gotta go do this, I'll see you later, you know, no questions asked, right? Especially when you haven't done anything to break the trust. That's a huge thing as well. I mean, I understand, you know, somebody goes out and cheats on their spouse, that there is going to be a lot of trust that needs to be built back after that. And then you jump through flaming hoops of fire. But if you haven't done anything to that person yet and you're having to jump through these hoops, that's controlling and that's abusive. So, Yeah, so I guess one of the things that would cause that anxiety inside of me was when I came home, I would be interrogated. Every time I came home, it would always be, 21 questions. I would be asked a million different questions that were very insecure. Who were you with? Why did it take you that long to go to the store? What were you doing? Did you make any stops along the way? What did you guys talk about? Did I come up in conversation? Were you talking about our relationship? All sorts of questions like that, to be honest, I understand certain questions, but mostly that type of talk is really abusive, because if you don't trust your partner enough to go and live their everyday life and have conversations with other people about you and your relationship and whatever else, that's abusive, super abusive. Another thing to watch for is when a person makes assumptions. Interrogations, one thing, 21 questions, but also assumptions. If somebody is sitting there assuming that they already know, assumptive language, I know how you feel. If somebody says that to you, that's a huge red flag. No one ever knows how you feel. They need to ask you, how do you feel? It's not okay for them to pretend like they're in your head. And that in itself is abusive, because they're telling you what you are and what you think and what you feel. So assumptions about other people that are around you, things that they can't possibly know, but they pretend like they do anyways. Or just assumptive language, like asking a question as if they already know the answer, that's just wrong. So that's definitely something to watch out for. These people are often very paranoid and very skeptical of, everything that you do and everyone that's around you. So definitely watch out for that. You should never have anxiety about going home to the person you love unless you've done something wrong for real. That's normal. You should be excited to go home to the person that you love. You should be excited to go and tell them every square inch of your day, because you feel comfortable to talk to them, because you know that when you talk to them, there isn't going to be some kind of consequence or punishment or interrogation. So, and you'd be amazed what it does to a person over the course of, years. It creates a lot of mental trauma, and it's something that you have to work through after the fact. And I'm suffering through so many different disorders now that have accumulated over time because of my abuse. And one of the biggest, things that I'm going through right now that, has started to happen to me, and a lot of these things are subconscious that are happening. It's not something you can control. And I fucking hate it when people sit there and they say to me, just get over it, just move on. Okay, you know what? I get that, but it's a process to move on. If it took me 2 years to screw myself up to this degree, it's going to take me a while to unscrew myself. So, education is a huge role in this, and then having healthy, positive, productive people around me who show me the respect that I deserve. Thankfully, I know what that looks like now after being completely disrespected. But yeah, so disassociation. This is something that I'm really, really struggling with right now. I've had, basically disassociation is what happens when your brain has so much anxiety and panic, and you get into like this hyper mode of, feelings and emotions and stuff, and it's that flood of anxiety. I know everybody knows it, but it's when it comes, to an extreme degree. And basically your brain has enough. And there's a certain threshold in which the brain can handle, and can only produce so many hormones and whatever else to create that hyper, reaction. And so when you go into depersonalization or disassociation, basically your body goes into a lower metabolic state, and it's like you disconnect your mind from your body, and you just are out. The lights go out. Some people it's worse than others. I have something that's called cognitive disassociation. So I am still there to a degree, but I am very disconnected from my body. So, I could be somebody touching me and I don't really feel it as much. Or, I'm just lack a lot of personality, and I'll just sit there and be very like almost numb, and my feelings just kind of shut off. I could say I love you to somebody, but I couldn't resonate. I couldn't feel it. And so I think that that's something, you know, a lot of people who suffer with trauma and post-traumatic stress disorder, that's definitely one of the side effects. So the good news is that there's ways out of, you know, something like that. Basically, you know, post-traumatic stress disorder is being conditioned. Your brain's been conditioned to react certain ways. And so Pavlov's theory, thank God, you can recondition yourself to put positive associations with something that's otherwise negative. So I'm very, very blessed and fortunate to have a man in my life who is helping me reattach positive associations to things that I find traumatic. And, you know, if you're lucky enough to find a partner to work through these things with you, awesome. But if you're not, then reach out. There's always going to be somebody there to listen and to care about you in your time of need. And if you don't have somebody like that, that's why I'm making these videos. Reach out to me. I will do everything in my power to speak with and address and help those who are in need or who have suffered from similar things. So I would love to go into detail a little bit more about some of the mental illnesses that I have acquired through my abuse and just solutions that I've found, you know, to help myself through these things. So that's probably going to be my next video. So hopefully you guys are having a great day. Thanks so much for listening to me ramble on and on and on about my experiences. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully this helps someone out there. I know it's helping me. Talk to you later. Bye.